I think there is a legitimate chance that Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, they called up Belal Muhammad before his fight against JDM, and they told him to abandon his pressure wrestling style that had brought him so much success in the UFC. It got him the belt. And they said, you got to show off your Canelo hands. You got to show off your striking because it's fucking elite. Because since then, Belal Muhammad has essentially abandoned his wrestling and just become this shit boxer who looks like he has no clue how to box. Looks like you put boxing gloves on a 6-year-old and told him to fucking figure it out and threw him in the octagon. Because he is that bad of a striker. The Canelo hands are fucking terrible. This was a disgrace of a fight. Belal Muhammad loses to Gabriel Bonfim, gets 50-45. Now we have to live in a world where Gabriel Bonfim is going to be in the top 5, and we're going to have to legitimately talk about this guy in like important welterweight matchups. I can't think of a worse reality, honestly. It really is that bad. I've hated on Gabriel Bonfim for months after that Wonder Boy fight. He continues to fucking win. He actually looked good in this fight. I don't want to make this a whole Gabriel Bonfim hate video. I'm mostly just going to hate on Belal for fucking ruining everything because this guy abandons his pressure wrestling style, as I had mentioned before, shows off his Canelo hands, get pieced up in every fight, and I get it against JDM and Ian Gary, like he had actually tried takedowns but got stuffed. Just gets pieced up in every fight, loses his next 3 fights, and also by fucking abandoning his pressure wrestling style and trying to strike too much with JDM, led to Charles Oliveira getting knocked out by Ilia Topuria, absolutely fucking terrible, and Islam Makhachev becoming double champ, and we may never see Ilia versus Islam. Belal Muhammad is a terrorist, and I've stood by this guy for a while. I've like laughed at the memes. I'm like, oh, Belal's not that bad, you know. Canelo hands, he actually doesn't have that bad boxing. His footwork is terrible, his boxing is terrible, and this was clearly a fight where it didn't even look like he wanted to be in there anymore. He's lost all his heart. He's lost all his drive. I feel like he's tried to prove a point in really his last 3 fights that he can box, which he can't. This was embarrassing. I mean, and I don't really even want to go through my notes for this fight because it was terrible. From the start, you kind of felt like, shit, what the fuck is Belal Muhammad doing? Wasn't really putting that much of a pace on Gabriel Bonfim. Would just throw like nice body kicks and head kicks. Couldn't get really anything working with his hands. Gabriel Bonfim was tearing up his lead leg, kind of forcing Belal Muhammad to change stances a lot. And he was also landing big counters, landing big right hands. Just really looked sharp. You know, Belal shot a couple sloppy takedowns, but really couldn't do anything. Just looked terrible. I thought the 4th round was maybe the only round you could have given to Belal Muhammad. But either way, Gabriel Bonfim led the dance the whole time. There was one point where he punched Belal Muhammad so hard that his fucking mouth guard flew out. He was wobbled in there, and Herb Dean actually stopped Belal Muhammad from possibly getting finished. And really, the story of Belal Muhammad's last 3 fights is this guy looks like his face has been beaten in by a baseball bat in every single fight. He's got a great chin, but I think this is really the beginning of the end for him. It's one thing to lose to JDM and Ian Gary, guys who would actually say are elite in the welterweight division. I know, JDM, man, he quit against... Fuck you. Shut the fuck up. And I know somebody's going to... Gabriel Bonfim, he'll chew up those lead legs. Fuck, that's not going to happen. JDM's going to put that guy out. Either way, Gabriel Bonfim was laughing in Belal Muhammad's face during this fight. He absolutely disrespected this man. And when the fight ends, he actually pulls Belal Muhammad over the side to like where Paul Felder is interviewing him and makes him stand there and says whatever bullshit he was saying in fucking Portuguese. That was terrible. I actually felt bad for Belal there because he got really fucking trolled. I don't really even know what you do next with Belal. I could see like when Shavkat comes back, you give him an easy win. He gets to beat the shit out of Belal Muhammad. Or you give him some like prospect like a Jacoby Smith. Somebody at that level. I think he should just face a prospect, or maybe when Usman loses and, you know, Usman and Belal have 1 fight left, maybe they fucking fight each other. I think Belal Muhammad will retire after his next fight. Worst champion of all time. I don't think that's an understatement. Somebody will say JDM. I think it's easily Belal at this point. For Bonfim, it does kind of get interesting because now you're talking, you know, Gabriel Bonfim's going to be fighting somebody in that top 5. Like a legit guy, not fucking Belal, where he's going to fight a JDM. He called him out after the fight. Sean Brady's shown interest in him. Maybe you give him Morales. I think there's a lot of options for Gabriel Bonfim next. And either way, I'm going to be happy to see this guy fucking get slimed out. Saying Gabriel Bonfim is a top 5 fighter in a division, in a stacked division like welterweight, is just absolutely insane to me. I can't believe I'm saying that, but good for him. Again, Gabriel Bonfim looked sharp in this. He executed his game plan perfectly. Belal pretty much threw his game plan out the window. I have no clue what he was doing whatsoever. How many takedowns did he even attempt in this fight? A whopping 2 takedowns. Yeah, that'll... Listen, if Belal went out there and was just shooting sloppy takedowns, but it was at least putting a pace on Gabriel Bonfim, who was actually applying pressure, you know, and he loses, I'm like, all right, whatever, the kid's washed, and at least he kind of went out on his sword. He went out on his sword trying to strike with Gabriel Bonfim, who's just so much better on the feet. Was Belal Muhammad scared of the jiu-jitsu of Bonfim? Maybe, but that just makes no sense to me. The thing that's gotten you this far in the UFC is your wrestling ability. So I have no fucking clue what he was doing. I think Benjamin Netanyahu told him a couple fights ago that he just needed to stop fucking wrestling whatsoever. He needed to gradually decrease his wrestling from the JDM fight to the Gary fight to the Bonfim fight. And I might really be misremembering some of the takedown stuff. I know he was trying to get takedowns against JDM and Ian Gary. I'm just kind of making a joke here about Belal Muhammad kind of going away from what has worked in his career and trying to be a boxer, even though he's one of the worst boxers in the UFC. But besides that, if you are new here, actually, most of this card was pretty good outside of this Belal Muhammad fight. Like Brendan Allen versus Edmen Shahbazyan, watching this, I was pissed because I thought, Brendan Allen, man, this guy's going to fucking somehow lose his fight because he decided not to shoot any takedowns whatsoever. And I know he was having success on the feet pretty much throughout the fight. I think he is an underrated striker to a degree. First round, I kind of gave the Shahbazyan and just figured he had more moments, was landing a little bit more cleanly on Brendan Allen. Then second round to third round, Brendan Allen I just thought was kind of working more, putting more of a pace on there. I thought Shahbazyan probably could have won this fight if he was a little bit less patient and let his hands go. Like if you're going to gas out, which I think he kind of gassed out a little bit in that third round because Brendan Allen does put a good pace on guys and pressure. At least gas out and start fucking throwing because you can hit Brendan Allen clean. I get he's like a blockhead, but you could have had something. And the whole time I was like, why is Brendan Allen just standing in front of Edmen Shahbazyan and not mixing in the grappling? He was also landing in the clinch in this fight, opened up a little bit more in that second round, took that second round. Third round was, again, nice uppercuts, clinch work, solid boxing. I thought 30-27 was kind of ridiculous. I figured this should have been 29-28 across the board. Whatever. This was middleweight in a fucking fight, you know what I mean? I know that sounds stupid, but this is how low-level middleweight is when you watch this shit and you're like, Brendan Allen, number 4 in the world, going to war with Edmen Shahbazyan. I get there was a 30-27, and if you're Brendan Allen goes, you're like, well, he clearly won. He did win, but this fight shouldn't have been as close as it was. Both these guys could have done significantly better. I didn't come away impressed by this fight by either guy at all. One thing I will say to kind of defend Brendan Allen here is like he didn't really have to take this fight. He didn't have to fight unranked Edmen Shahbazyan, who's got some nice finishes in the UFC and is dangerous. And he did it anyway, and he won. So I'll give Brendan Allen that. You know, he's on his Charles Dubronx run as a Brazilian. Everybody's favorite Brazilian, Brendan Allen. Moving down to Tom Nolan versus Fares Ziam. I'm happy Tom Nolan won. I'm obviously a fan of him. I don't really care much for Fares Ziam. Like, he is very good, or at least I thought going into this fight, but he really struggled with kind of the physicality and the size of Tom Nolan, who just looked really good, you know. Out-grappled Ziam early, was landing big slams. You know, Fares Ziam in the second round kind of was getting out-physicaled and had like a Kimura attempt in there. I thought Ziam, like, if he just kept this fight standing a little bit more, he would have had the chance to chin Tom Nolan. Didn't really happen. I thought the only round Ziam won was that third round where he was kind of landing more on the feet, landing nice trips and slams. You know, even with Tom Nolan, the thing is, like, even when you get him down, and I mentioned this in the last video, where it's like, he's still going to land and get damage off his back, even when you take him down. Like, he's still a threat with submissions and his elbows. He still is really that good. I figured Fares Ziam probably won this round. It's a bad loss for everybody. And I'm a little bit impartial to this, but I wasn't saying Fares Ziam was going to be a future champ. I like Tom Nolan a lot. I just kind of figured a little bit too chinny. Boxing defense sucks. And I figured out Fares Ziam, he's got good enough takedown defense. And Tom Nolan isn't really a guy who has like elite level takedown game. He does have good submissions. But I figured out Fares Ziam should be able to win this one. And he should be able to chin Tom Nolan at a certain point. Boy, was I wrong. Sorry for disrespecting my boy Tom Nolan. I'm never doing that shit again. And, yeah, good win for Tom Nolan. I think he was interested in fighting Moicano. That's a winnable fight, but also Renato Moicano will just pull shit out of his ass. We just saw him do that to Chris Duncan. This guy will randomly chin you and lock in. He's got weird jiu-jitsu, weird striking. That would worry me as a Tom Nolan fan, but I'd probably pick him to win just because eventually Renato Moicano's age is like really got to show. I mean, this guy was going to war with Beneil Dariush. So either way, yeah, that was cool. Bryce Mitchell, this was kind of my worry with this fight, where Santiago Luna is just too young, you know what I mean? I think the kid does have talent, but Bryce Mitchell was just a wrestle fest. Really nice control throughout the fight, you know. Or I thought it was a mistake by Santiago Luna at points in this fight to even look for takedowns, because on the feed, Bryce Mitchell really has nothing whatsoever. He can't really box, and you know, Bryce Mitchell's whole game is just going to be body locks and trips and to get you down, and then he's just going to control you, has good jiu-jitsu. That's what he did to Santiago Luna. Wasn't really shocking at all. Like, Santiago Luna tried to fluke an Americana in that first round. Nothing about this fight was shocking. If you told me Bryce Mitchell was going to win, I expected it to be kind of like this. I was just kind of banking on it. Bryce Mitchell, boxing sucks. You know, you can chin him. Santiago Luna's got a lot of power. I kind of figured, maybe this kid actually, he has real potential. Because if he comes out here and he beats Bryce Mitchell, you're like, oh shit, this guy's a legit name. Get Bryce Mitchell, Alexandre Topuria. I don't really love it as a Bryce Mitchell fan, but he fucking wants that fight. And the UFC, they're going to have to give it to him. Bryce Mitchell, super underrated throughout his career. He's won a lot of fights. I know his resume in terms of wins isn't really great, but he's been very successful inside of the UFC, and he's fought a lot of top guys, whether it's Silva, Topuria. I know he didn't beat those guys, but he was still there. Junior Tafa. You know, he's lucky he beat the shit out of Kevin Christian in his the fight before this, because we'd be talking about Junior Tafa getting cut had he not won that Kevin Christian fight. I mean, Junior Tafa's chinny to the fucking legs. Where do you hear that? Baraniewski, he did shoot like a shitty takedown in this fight and couldn't get it. So Iwo's grappling is still largely unproven at the UFC level. And he just chopped 2 good calf kicks, and Junior Tafa crumbled to the ground like a fat slob, and he died. I think that Kevin Christian kind of chewing up his legs in the last fight 2 months ago played a part in this. I don't really know why he took this fight. Iwo is such a dangerous level prospect. You know this with Iwo Baraniewski. Whenever this guy loses within the next year, they're just going to say he's shit. And he might not even really be that good, but I think he does have like fairly good striking. And obviously he has a judo background that we just haven't really seen. But everybody's just going to call this guy fraud when he eventually loses. Whatever, it's light heavyweight, it sucks anyway. Junior Tafa, you're terrible. Let's go over the prelims, because the prelims were a lot of fun. I mean, Costa destroys Matt Schnell. This was kind of a funny one where Matt Schnell, I actually thought early on, was doing okay. He was looking like movement Matt Schnell, prime Matt Schnell, where, you know, he was just moving around. Alessandro Costa's kind of hunting for calf kicks, hunting for that big right over the top. Matt Schnell's kind of just chopping big calf kicks, and Costa eventually just throws a big right, has him on stakes, flattens him out, throws like 15 punches to the back of the head. And this is where there's a weird little stoppage going on here, because in the moment I'm like, the fight's over. I mean, you got 15 punches to the back of your head. It was a good stoppage. And then the fight's over. Herb Dean comes in, and then Matt Schnell is still clearly awake and like grappling and gets on top of Alessandro Costa. And you're like, oh, well, it's kind of a weird spot for Herb Dean to be in. I agree with the stoppage, though. You can't just be sitting there with your head nearly tucked in between the legs of Costa, taking 15 shots to the back of the head and expect the fight not to be over. You got to give the ref a reason to not stop the fight. He didn't. Good one for Costa, was as expected. Marcus McGee, everybody's favorite skateboarder, just tried a bunch of weird shit in this fight. It was spinning shit, karate shit, boxing shit. It seemed like he changed up his style every single round, and it was a good fight for him. It doesn't make me really change. It doesn't change much about how I think about Marcus McGee. He did a great job moving, putting the pressure on, looked really sharp early, was just chewing up John Yanis with feints, man, and was landing nice check hooks, just moved a lot better. He looked so sharp. I thought John Yanis had his moments here where when he was sitting down on his punches in the pocket, was doing a good job against Marcus McGee, but McGee just mixed up his strikes so much better than John Yanis. My one kind of complaint with Marcus McGee here, and I get it kind of after he actually had said something about this, where he's like, you're in here with a striker like John Yanis, you want to go out there and you want to throw. And Marcus McGee does not have really great grappling by any means, or good, takedown game, but he does kind of mix it in there to change up the pace of the fight. I would have liked if he did that, because I think this could have been a much quote-unquote easier win for him. I know he 30-27 to him, or whatever it was, even though he clearly won, but I feel like it could have been much easier. Just good win for Marcus McGee, switching up stances, forcing John Yanis to think too much and kind of pause. It was a good win for Marcus McGee. He should still be in the rankings either way. He'll get somebody around that top 10. And now Bruno Silva, Edgar Chairez. I knew it was over for Bruno Silva when I saw his back didn't look like a fucking volcano. It's as simple as that. Good one for Edgar Chairez, who was a guy I've always liked. I just didn't really like how he looked against Felipe Bunes, and I was like, maybe Bruno Silva, at least I kind of know what I'm getting here, and I figure he has more weapons. And when I was looking at Edgar Shires, because the picture here doesn't really do it justice. Now that he's bald, he just looks like an escaped cartel member. And he kind of looks like El Diablo from Suicide Squad. That's my opinion. Really long, landed big uppercut that hurt Silva, was working his jab nicely, dropped Silva with a big right, and dropped Silva early with a big right. Bruno Silva survived, and then Shires dropped him again, got on full mount, took his back and subbed. Good one for Edgar Shires. He's going to be in the rankings now. He's an interesting name because he, his only 2 losses are to Tyra and Van. And, he had moments against Joshua Van. I think Edgar Shires, there definitely is something there. He's long, he's got power, he's got finishing ability. This Bruno Silva win is a really nice win to have on your belt. Obviously, I think he still needs another win inside of that top 15 for me to be like, ooh, Edgar Shires, here's a really, really legit guy. I'm not there yet with him, but this was a good win. Sorry for downing Edgar Chirac. And then there was something in the air in the Apex tonight. Chelsea Chandler fucking pulls out an armbar submission. I just figured the grappling advantage would be too much. That's why I picked her. I didn't really watch this fight. I went to take a piss. Joanderson Brito beats Jordan Levitt. Kind of a bit of a weird one where, I thought Jordan Levitt did a nice job early on the pressure, kind of shooting takedowns, even though I thought, for the most part, Brito was showing good takedown defense. Jordan Levitt was just doing a nice job kind of forcing a storm on Joanderson Brito. And as expected, how Joanderson Brito was going to sub Levitt, as I predicted in the last video, he was going to shoot a bad takedown, gets a ninja choke in, he fucking wins. And then quickly on Jesslyn Chavez, she actually showed some grappling in this fight, had a nice 3-2 throughout. That was kind of her best combo. Just showed competent grappling for the most part, had nice back takes, no real sub ability, but managed to win, and Ketlin Sosa got a knockout. The prelims, there was something in the air in this card because pretty much every fight outside of Belal and fucking Gabriel Bonfim was pretty entertaining, and I guess if you hate Belal Muhammad, this fight was entertaining. But Belal Muhammad, you're a terrorist now. I'll probably never pick you to win. I'm never going to run that Chicago Grim Reaper gimmick again. You've kind of ruined my life. You called Charles Oliveira to go out cold. JDM got beat the shit out by Islam because JDM would have never been champ, so whatever. But that's besides. You let Ian Gary get a title shot, you fucking suck. You've ruined my life. Either way, if you're new here, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Gonna push out a ton of content hopefully this week for UFC Freedom 250. Thank you all for watching. The doctor is signing off.